Welcome back to West Texas View.
Before the break, I told you that this time we're going to be talking about organ donations, decisions to will your body to science, or cremation. Three things that are pretty controversial among some people. And so, Peter, I want you to talk about those three issues. Start with organ donation and how important that is.
You know, as the funeral director, I saw several seminars about organ donation where people would come out and tell us, you know, we should encourage this. And it was very interesting, but until I wrote this book and started really doing research on it, I signed up as an organ donor. And the statistics for this are really interesting. There are organs that can save lives, and then there's tissue that can assist lives: skin, eyes, corneas, bone, ligaments, all these kind of things can help. And then, of course, the vital organs, which are a little more difficult to get. But there are 120, as of Friday, I checked this Friday, there are 122,238 people waiting for an organ donation.
For life or death?
For organ. So this is for life and death, yes. Someone is added to that list every 10 minutes. And approximately 78 people a day receive an organ donation, or receive an organ, and approximately 18 people die each day waiting for an organ transplant. 100 million people are registered, and one organ donor, can save up to 8 lives. One tissue donor can help up to 80 people. So that's really something to think about.
Tell me why a person wouldn't want to donate their organs. Give me an argument that people might have.
There's been some myths and some truths about bad apples. There are bad apples in every industry. And in the funeral industry, whether it's organ donation or something with a cemetery or a funeral home, since we don't know much about it, it becomes a good story. And there's been a lot of exposés in the media over the last few decades, and some of them have changed the way the industry operates, which is a good thing. But there have been people that have done bad things with organ donations, and they sell the organs and things like that. It is so much better regulated now. All organ donations go through one organization that's operated for the government, contracted. The people that operate it are for the government and through that. And then there's branches all over the state. It's very easy to sign up. You don't have to go through your driver's license and all that anymore. You can, and the more you do is better. But it took me about 5 minutes. I went on the national website, which is listed in the book, and it took me to the state, and then you just fill in some information. When I die, somebody will, if I'm in the hospital or whatever, they'll check the list, and they'll see if I'm on the list. And you know, it's good for your family to know and all that. If you registered and your family doesn't want to donate your organs, that's too bad, because you made the decision, and it's in there that you made the decision. So it's very easy to do. And
well, what are some arguments that people might have of why they don't want to? Do they ever say, well, it's against my religion, or it's creepy, or what kind of arguments? Because I can't imagine a reason why I wouldn't want my organs donated if it was going to save a person.
Well, a lot of it is because of these myths, and they think that, well, they're bad people and they're making money off my organs, and a lot of people don't like that. And there's another thought: well, if they paid for the organs, you might have more people donate. But you think of not just adults but children. You know, if there's a child, you don't want to have the thought of cutting up or taking out of the body. But then you've got to think of the other side, where this child or this person is getting a second chance. So it's a legacy if you will, or something you can say, you know, my child or my mother
lives
died,
on, and somebody,
but you know, she really helped somebody else, and I really feel good about that.
Well,
So
what about willing your body to science?
that's the same thing. It's a legacy. You can give a legacy. It's something you can give, and there's different ways to do that. In some cases, whatever they don't use, you will get back in a cremated form, and you can do it. In other cases, you won't get anything back, but you know, if it wasn't for medical science
And research and
for thousands of years since man, we have been using bodies to learn about medical
and
science.
to teach doctors.
And to teach doctors, and that's why we are where we are today. If you can go directly to a medical school, or you can go to a pharmaceutical or other companies that do research
in the health
and
industry.
things.
Yeah. And then let's talk about cremation, because I didn't realize until I mentioned to several people that my first husband was cremated after he died of a terminal illness, and people were just several people were just aghast at that. They said, "Oh my goodness, how could you do that?"
Cremation has been taking place for thousands of years as well.
I know.
It's, you know, 30 years ago, it was a lot less popular, and the funeral industry was saying, hey, the baby boomers are getting older, business is going to be great. Well, guess what? The baby boomers didn't have as big a problem with cremation, and it seems simpler. And less expensive,
and you're
in
not
some
wasting
cases.
ground.
and some people think, well, if you cremate, you can't have the service. Well, you can. You can do everything you do. You can have the body present for viewing. You can have the service in the church. The only difference is, after the service, you do not go to the cemetery. You end there, and the body is cremated. And then what we call a direct cremation, where there's no services. The funeral home takes care of the cremation.
Immediately on death. That's what I did is Jerry was cremated immediately after he died, and then we had a memorial service, which we call the celebration of life. And we didn't want anything sad. We didn't want sad organ music, sad songs, or anything.
And this is the way the industry is changing now. It's getting away from the dark rooms and the organ, dreary organ music, and it's a more uplifting music and photos and slideshows, and just, I've had motorcycles in the chapel before. And
we're going to have to end this program today, but as I said earlier, we're going to have Peter come back next week, and we're going to continue this conversation. Join us then.
Thanks for joining us for News West 9's West Texas View with Johnny Lou Avery. This has been a public affairs presentation of KWAB-TV and KWES-TV.